Hey everybody, in this video, you're gonna be learning what insulin resistance is and how you can avoid it. Hey guys, it's me Amir. So in today's lesson, you're gonna be learning what insulin resistance is and how you can avoid it. Now, before we actually begin today's lesson, I first wanna educate you on how a normal person's body should respond to insulin and glucose. So if you're a healthy individual and you're eating your food, the food that you're eating will now release glucose in your blood supply, okay? So when you start getting glucose in your blood supply, it's gonna start off another reaction. So this glucose in your blood supply will now stimulate your pancreas, and your pancreas will release something known as insulin. So insulin comes over here, we'll draw him right here, boom, 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 big guy over here. So insulin comes, and the job of insulin is to take the glucose into your muscle cells, right? So your muscle cells will create that glucose into ATP for energy, it's gonna create muscle, and it's gonna keep you healthy. Now, this is how this actually happens. Insulin will knock on the door of the insulin receptor, this moon shape right here, and say, hey, I got some friends, we like to join the fun, we'd like to go in the club. So I like to give this analogy is pretend your muscle cell is a club and the insulin receptor is the bouncer. The bouncer now doesn't let anybody in. You know, it has to be very specific. Okay, you're allowed to go in, no, you can't come in. But insulin is a VIP, and anybody with a VIP goes in, right? So now insulin tells the bodyguard, hey, these guys are with me. They go in, GLU4 sucks up all the glucose, and you become healthy. That's how a healthy person's body functions when they eat healthy whole foods such as a paleo diet. Now the problem is when you become insulin resistant, it's a whole different story. The first question is how do you become insulin resistant? Well, one, a lot of people are eating this garbage food today. You know, the gluten, wheat, processed food. It's not real food, it's absolutely horrible, and you should completely avoid it from your diet. Two, people aren't sleeping properly, and it's so connected to your health. And three, people are very immobile. They sit on their desks all day. So when you're eating this, you know, high processed, sad diet, high fructose corn syrup diet, guess what's happening? Your body now, say instead of having 3 units of glucose in your blood, it's probably gonna have like 100 units, right? So non-stop glucose. And you're not doing this only, once a day. You're doing this multitude times a day. You're reaching for the donut, for the bagel, whatever these sugary snacks you want to reach for. But if insulin's only allowed to have like 3, VIP partners with him, what happens when there's 100? Well, that means your pancreas has to work on overdrive. More insulin has to come out, right? So you have more people coming out. But this is the crazy part that happens. The bouncers over here, they get fed up. They're like, hey, you guys aren't VIP anymore. There's like hundreds of you and we can't let everybody in. And at the end of the day, your insulin receptors or these bodyguards, they shut down. They don't listen to insulin anymore. And now your GLU4s, they don't get glucose, you don't make ATP, you don't have energy, muscle mass doesn't grow. All of this is because you're eating too much of this, sad diet, standard American diet. Now, what are the repercussions? It's quite simple. Now, when you have super elevated levels of glucose in your body, it's gonna cause inflammation. It's gonna cause you to regain weight. It's gonna cause memory issues. It's gonna cause everything bad for you. It's horrible. You do not wanna be insulin resistant. Now, the $1 million question is, how can you actually mitigate the effects? How can you avoid being insulin resistant? Or if you do have it, how can you change your life for good, for the better? Well, this is my approach for insulin resistance. Number one is switch over to a paleo diet, a whole foods diet, a low carb approach. If glucose was a key ingredient to start all of this, because glucose will stimulate your pancreas to make more insulin, just by common sense, if I reduce the amount of glucose in my blood, therefore I will reduce the amount of insulin and give my receptors a break, right? We don't need to go to the club every weekend. We can go once a year, right? So that's number one, eating a paleo low carb approach, whole foods diet, no wheat, no grains, no commercial dairies, grass-fed meats, etc. All this, really nutritious, abundant food. Number two, sleep. Sleep is huge. Stop going to bed at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. Sleep controls your hormones. Sleep controls how your insulin works. Sleep controls how your muscle cells work. Sleep controls everything. So please go to bed at 10 p.m. Number three, include a lot of magnesium in your diet. There's so many studies correlating the positive and beneficial effects that magnesium has with your glucose, with your insulin, and so much more. We're so depleted. So any way that you can get magnesium from the foods such as almonds, bone broth, kale, to supplements such as magnesium citrate, gluconate, liposomal magnesium. And finally, one of my personal favorites that I try to do every single day is weight training, strength training. So there's a million studies out there showing that when you strength train, it's going to actually stimulate your GLUT4 inside your cells. Now, what's so wonderful about this is GLUT4 it doesn't need the insulin receptor. It just bypasses it and takes up the glucose. So the more you strength train, the more your body has a better ability to absorb and assimilate glucose. See guys, it's quite simple. Eat clean food, go to bed, and strength train, and you completely avoid becoming insulin resistant. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video about what insulin resistance is and how you can avoid it. For more videos like this, you know what to do. Subscribe to my channel by clicking below, leave some comments, and head over to amirrosic.com and join the Optimal Tribe. Have an amazing week.